My wife said in our family chat, "Hey is the most supportive husband in the world." I replied, "I try my best." Then I replied to the entire group chat with the screenshots of her messages to her ex-boyfriend the night before. When my mother-in-law called her immediately, Gavin, 39, male, had been with Alana, 37, for 11 years, married for 8. Our life in San Diego was a carefully curated performance of her social and political ambitions. We lived in a stunning ocean view condo in La Jolla, a minimalist space that felt more like a gallery than a home. I was a senior marine biologist for a private research foundation, specializing in coral reef restoration, earning a quiet $110,000 a year. Alana was a high-powered fundraising consultant for political campaigns, a career that brought in a volatile but substantial $140,000 and placed her at the center of a world of power brokers and wealthy donors. Our life was a calendar of her fundraisers, dinners at exclusive places like Addison, and weekends with her friends, Seth and Cora, who saw my scientific work as a noble but hopelessly unglamorous pursuit. Don't miss the twist. Subscribe and help us reach 1,000 subscribers. The opportunity that would ultimately change my life arrived on a clear, cool morning. It was a formal offer letter from the Pacific Marine Research Institute in Qley, Kona, Hawaii. They were launching a groundbreaking new project to develop and seed heat-resistant coral species across the Pacific. They wanted me to lead it. The position was Chief Marine Scientist. It was a chance to do work that could have a global impact. The offer was extraordinary, a base salary of $230,000, a massive research grant, a beautiful home on the Institute's private grounds, and a new Toyota 4Runner for my work. I told Alana that evening, my voice filled with a passion I hadn't felt in years. I described the project's importance, the chance to lead a world-class team, the beauty of the Big Island. She listened with the polite, distracted air of someone waiting for a subordinate to finish a briefing. "Kona," she asked, a delicate frown creasing her brow. "It's a tourist trap, Gavin, and it's so remote. There's no political scene, no real power." She shook her head, her tone final. "My entire career is built on my connections in California and DC. You can't expect me to throw that away to go save some fish." Update 1. I quietly accepted the Hawaii offer. Her description of my life's work as saving fish was a small, sharp cut that severed a final, fraying thread. My passion was an inconvenience to her ambition. She continued her campaign of quiet condescension, unaware that my decision was already made. Over cocktails with Seth and Cora, she sighed with performative sadness. "Gavin has this fantasy about moving to Hawaii," she said. "He wants to take a step back, live a simpler life. I'm worried he's losing his drive." Seth, a venture capitalist who measured life in returns, nodded sagely. "You can't get off the ladder, man. Her career is a rocket ship." Cora added, "She needs a partner who is on her level, Gavin." They saw me as a man choosing a slower, lesser path. I offered no defense. I had already begun my own quiet preparations. I opened a new set of bank accounts. I spent my evenings researching the schools and community in Kona. I also began to notice the small, telltale signs of a deeper betrayal. She was secretive with her phone, and I saw a familiar name from her past, an ex-boyfriend named Marcus, light up her screen more than once. One evening, I opened the family iPad, which was synced to her phone, to look up a recipe. Her messages were right there. A long, detailed thread with Marcus from the night before, planning a future that did not include me. I took a series of clear, undeniable screenshots and saved them to a secure cloud drive. Update 2. The next morning, our family group chat, which included both our sets of parents and our siblings, buzzed with a new message. It was from Alana. She had posted a glowing photo of us from a recent charity event. The caption was a masterclass in performative affection. "He is the most supportive husband in the world," she wrote. "I couldn't do what I do without him by my side." My phone buzzed with replies from our family, all praising what a wonderful couple we were. I looked at the post, then at the screenshots on my laptop. The hypocrisy was breathtaking. I typed my reply to the group. "I try my best." A moment later, I sent a second message to the group chat. It contained 3 screenshots of her conversation with Marcus. The messages were explicit, detailing their plans to get together after she had handled the Gavin situation. The silence in the group chat was immediate and absolute. Then, my phone rang. It was my mother-in-law, her voice a choked whisper. A moment later, I saw her name pop up on Alana's phone, which was sitting on the kitchen counter. The confrontation was not between us. It was between Alana and the two families who had just seen the unvarnished truth. She looked at me, her face a mask of pure, unadulterated rage. "You have destroyed everything," she hissed. "No," I replied calmly. "You did. I just turned on the lights." I told her then about the job in Hawaii, that our marriage was over, and that my lawyer would be in touch. Update 3. The fallout was a digital firestorm. The family chat was a wasteland of her family's shame and my family's quiet, furious support. Alana retreated into a fortress of denial and rage, sending me a barrage of texts accusing me of hacking her phone, of fabricating the messages, of being a monster. I didn't respond. I remained a calm, quiet center in the storm she had created, focusing on the meticulous process of my departure. I filed for divorce. The movers came on a gray, overcast morning, packing my books, my research equipment, and my personal belongings. Alana was not there. She had gone to stay with Cora, leaving only the biting silence of a half-empty closet. I flew to Hawaii on a sunny afternoon, the Pacific Ocean a vast, blue promise below me. The first time I stepped out of the Kona airport, the air, warm and fragrant with plumeria, felt like a cleansing breath. My new home was a beautiful, modern house with a lanai that overlooked a lush, green valley and the distant, shimmering ocean. My new lab was a state-of-the art facility, buzzing with the energy of brilliant people dedicated to a shared mission. I was finally in a place where my work was the main event, not a curious sideshow. Update 4. 6 months in Hawaii was a period of profound peace and intense, rewarding work. My team and I successfully cultivated our first generation of heat-resistant coral spawn, a massive breakthrough that was years ahead of schedule. The Institute's board was ecstatic. They accelerated our funding and gave me a $50,000 bonus. I used it to buy a small, traditional outrigger canoe, which I took out on the calm, clear waters of the bay at dawn. One evening, I received an email from Cora. It was long and apologetic. "Gavin," she wrote, "we are so sorry. Alana told us you had a breakdown, that you faked those messages in a jealous rage, because you couldn't handle her success. We were so wrong to believe her." We heard her mother confirm the story. I thought of Alana's post in the family chat. "He is the most supportive husband in the world." It was the perfect lie, a public declaration of love that provided the perfect backdrop for my public revelation of her betrayal. I replied politely, but kept my distance. "Thank you for your email. I wish you well." Update 5. Our coral breakthrough was a major international news story. Nature, one of the world's most prestigious scientific journals, published our team's paper. The story was picked up by the New York Times and the BBC. My name and new title, Chief Marine Scientist, were featured prominently. The articles were a public validation of the life I had chosen. They circulated online, and the shockwaves eventually reached the political and social circles of California. Alana's emails began that night. "Chief Scientist. You let me believe it was a minor research post," one accused. "You planned this all along to ruin my reputation," said another. Then came the call from Seth. His voice was thick with shame. "Gavin, man, we were so wrong," he said. "Alana had us all convinced you were the villain. We saw those articles. We had no idea the work was so important. My own family, who had known the truth all along, were simply, profoundly proud. The verifiable, public truth of my work had finally silenced her private, manipulative lies." Update 6. She appeared on my doorstep in Kona a month later. She had flown in unannounced, a desperate pilgrimage to the life she had so casually dismissed. She looked smaller, her usual confident energy replaced by a brittle, anxious uncertainty. "Gavin," she began, her voice soft. "I was wrong. About everything." "What were you wrong about, Alana?" I asked, my voice flat. "I was lost," she said, tears welling in her eyes. "I was so caught up in that world, I lost sight of what was real. But I've been in therapy. I've changed. I see now what a beautiful, meaningful life you have here. I can be the partner you deserve." I looked at her, and the memory of her face when her mother's call came through, the moment her carefully constructed world shattered, was as clear as the tropical sky. "You didn't just lie to me, Alana," I said. "You lied to our entire family. You performed a life, and you expected me to be a character in your play. I was desperate, she insisted. No, I replied calmly. You were dishonest. There is no foundation to rebuild on. I stepped back inside. Goodbye, Alana. Update 7, her rejection fueled a final, vindictive act. She filed a lawsuit in our divorce proceedings, claiming that my public and malicious disclosure of her private communications had caused her severe emotional distress and had led to the loss of her business, demanding a significant portion of my new income as damages. It was a pathetic, transparent legal maneuver. My lawyer was prepared. We filed a motion to dismiss, arguing that the messages were shared in a private family chat in direct response to her own public, misleading post, and that her professional losses were a direct result of her own documented infidelity, not my disclosure of it. The judge dismissed her claim in a single hearing, calling it a frivolous and vindictive action. My update 8, a year passed. My work was my life, and my life was full of a quiet, profound joy. I had been promoted to vice chair of the institute. I was in a new, healthy relationship with a woman named Dr. Qley Makani, a brilliant volcanologist I had met through my work. Our connection was built on a shared sense of wonder for the natural world and a deep, easy honesty. One evening, a final email from Alana arrived. She had moved to a different city and was working a low-level job in public relations. I built my life around a public image, she wrote. And you showed everyone the private truth. I am sorry for the pain I caused. I replied with a short, polite message. I wish you peace. I blocked her email address. Final update, several months later. I was the keynote speaker at a major ocean conservation conference in Honolulu. After my speech, a distinguished older woman approached me. It was Alana's mother. She looked at me, her eyes filled with a sincere regret. Gavin, she began, her voice heavy with emotion. I need to apologize. We were so caught up in Alana's world, in the image she projected, that we failed to see the truth. She shook her head. That post she made in the family chat, the one where she called you the most supportive husband in the world, it was the moment we all felt so happy. Her voice broke. And it was the moment you knew you had to show us the lie. I am so sorry, we didn't see it sooner. Her words brought a quiet, final sense of resolution. I reflected on the lesson of the past 2 years. The grander the public declaration of virtue, the more one should question the private reality. Alana's performance of the perfect wife was a shield for her betrayal. By using her own stage, her own audience, to present the simple, verifiable truth, I hadn't just exposed her lie. I had reclaimed my own story. And in the quiet, profound work of saving something real, I had finally found my peace.